So I've been busy for the last several weeks with One Shepherd's 40th year of service and the anniversary celebration of that. That's why I'm wearing this jacket today. But having that finally under our belt and still being on the euphoric high of that experience, I definitely wanted to get back here to tactics, small unit tactics, leadership, and our academic pursuit of that. That said, what has happened and transpired over the last year of me making these videos is that no less than a half dozen warriors have come to me and said, look, this is my situation. All of them are different walks of life, different ages. This is my situation. I've decided that I'm not going to pursue a military career. What are my options in terms of warrior training, warrior competencies, leadership, and all of these things if I don't go down that commitment to serve my nation, state, or community? And the answer is good news. There are lots of options open to you. That's what I'd like to talk to you today about, and so we'll get right on it. I'm Dr. Christopher Larsen, a veteran of the U.S. Army Infantry, founder of One Shepherd Leadership Institute, and author of Small Unit Tactical Doctrine. All right, before we jump into this, let's be certain about one thing. When you join military service, at least United States military service, you are making an 8-year commitment. That's not an assumption, that is in fact. Whether you do that in, very typically you see a 4-year active duty and then maybe 4 years either in the inactive ready reserves where you don't report in, but you are able to be called up, or far more commonly, but commonly enough, people serve in a reserve status, either in the National Guard or the military Federal Reserves. They serve in a reserve status. Often that's the case because they're also using the GI Bill to go to school for 4 more years, that is to go to the university. But whatever the case, no matter how you split it, there is an 8-year commitment when you sign on the dotted line. Now let's use that 8 years as our model, because when you say, how can I get this kind of warrior leader training and this great scholarly tradition, but not join the military, I'm going to say we're still talking about an 8-year commitment. How do I break that 8-year commitment up? Is it all one lump sum? Do I start at 16 and finish at 24? Yes, I would highly recommend that. Is it okay if I start at age 30 and then draw out those 8 years of training and development until I'm 50? Okay, who am I to say that that's wrong? So either way, I'm going to give you an 8-year plan that is flexible. It is malleable. You can do it different, take things in different orders, but I have a rationale that I'll share with you, not just what I think the competency areas are that you need to invest your time and efforts into, and cash, because let's be honest, if you're going through this yourself, Uncle Sam isn't paying for it. So it'll be on your time and on your dime, but there are advantages of having that kind of control. You get the quality you want, and you get it when you want it, when it's convenient for you. All right, we're going to talk about an 8-year plan. And again, change it as you see fit. I will share my rationale about what you should do and when you should do it. And before we jump into that, allow me to say this. There is something I won't cover. But I'm going to mention it now. In this 8-year plan, I do not cover drill and ceremony, customs and courtesies, and proper wear of a uniform. I would say you can start that in middle school. Join a junior ROTC or a Civil Air Patrol. I don't care. Join marching band. Is this a necessary skill and competency for warriorhood? No, it is not. That said, I can tell you it just gives a sharp edge, a sharp image, and a certain measure of discipline. You can tell the warriors who have a background in drill and ceremony, customs and courtesies, and of course, proper wear of a uniform. That sort of discipline shines through. What I will talk to you now is an 8-year plan. And so what we're going to start with is basic rifle marksmanship. And you will see other weapon system training in this plan. But let me point out that weapon systems make up only 10% of the competencies of a warrior. I'm going to actually go ahead and somewhat quantify that claim here in this plan. But nonetheless, it starts with weapon systems and marksmanship, because if you are going to pursue warrior traditions, you have no business doing this unless you can hit your target. You have to have weapon proficiency. If that's not what you want to do, don't go into warriorhood. Don't pursue that. Pursue some other noble profession. But if you're going to pursue warriorhood, you owe it to yourself to be able to hit your target. Our first year starts with two very, very fundamental courses, and they are basic rifle marksmanship. That would be offered by the National Rifle Association, Appleseed, United States Rifle Association, or the Civilian Marksmanship Program, or some similar program. I believe Boy Scouts might still offer this. Basic rifle marksmanship, and this can cost you anywhere from nothing, just your time and effort, all the way up to maybe $150. Most of them will have a weekend-long course for $150. BRM, learn it. It's the foundation of warriorhood and weapons proficiency. From there, I'd say step one up. That same year, move into a tactical weapons course. And I would recommend something like tactical carbine with an AR-15 because they're excellent firearms, because they're ubiquitous, because they're affordable. For many different reasons, I would say that. But any weapon system is going to work. Any firearm, long gun is going to work, because the skills you learn in BRM and tactical carbine are transferable to other weapon systems as well. That's where you start with, and you can find that, oh my gosh, I can't point a stick in one direction and name all of the sources for this sort of training, but let me start with S&S Training Solutions in Kansas City, Polaris Simulation out here in Virginia, Max Velocity again out here on the East Coast, Tactical Response, I want to say that's in the Midwest, Gun Sight and Front Sight I believe are in the American Southwest. These courses, the tactical carbine course, can run you as little as $600, all things considered, meaning firearm, ammunition, and training, as little as $600 for a weekend, up to about $2,400 for like an extended weekend, maybe a 4-day course at one of the high-end courses. And to some degree, you get what you pay for. I'll agree with that to some measure, but that's not always the case. So don't just throw money at the issue. Do your research and figure out which one suits you, what suits your schedule and your budget, but also meets the quality that you're looking for. That's year one, and you're looking at somewhere around an investment of, oh gosh, well below the $1,000 mark up to close to the $3,000 mark. And you're going to see that most years I'm trying to keep you at $2,000 give or take, and anywhere from 2 weekends up to 2 full weeks. Let's go on to year two. You want to get into advanced tactical carbine, and when I say advanced tactical carbine, what I really mean here is force-on-force training, and I don't care whether it's simunitions or miles gear or something else. S&S Training Solution, again, does force-on-force with a carbine course with miles gear. So does Polaris Simulations and Training. And Max Velocity, I think, uses a very high-end airsoft system, but they are training quality airsoft systems. Again, these courses, depending on who you go to, are pretty consistent. They run $400 to $700. Most of them are about a weekend long, 1 or 2 days. And in your second year, I would recommend that you start your warrior fieldcraft at this time. So I'm going to highly recommend that you jump over to One Shepherd and enter their first semester. Do a whole semester. Do your Warrior Basic course, your first Sticks seminar, and your FTX simulation. That's 7 days of training for that last half of year two, which, depending on your age, will cost you anywhere from about $500 to $900 for that full 7 days. Traditional warriors, I think 14 to 22 pay the lower end, but you can do your own investigation there. In your third year, it would be simply, I would recommend 2 more semesters, a week in the spring, a week in the fall sort of thing. You'll cover land navigation course, Stick Seminar 2, another FTX simulation. Then a third semester Warrior Advanced course, Stick Seminar 3, FTX Simulation, again $500 to $900 each time. Even at the higher end, you're still well below the 2,000 mark there for year 3. And at that point, you finish the Warrior track, and so your Warrior Fieldcraft in One Shepherd is done. Now, you could from there in year 4 just stay with One Shepherd and move on into the leadership track, and there would be absolutely nothing wrong with that. But here's what I would recommend if you really want to mix it up. I would say start going after more of those Warrior specialties. Let me share a few. Year 4, Tactical Radio Operator. There is a 6-day course offered by Brushbeater for $800, and to my knowledge, no one else is giving an RTO/RO course, a tactical course. And from everything I've heard, I haven't been there myself, it is just brilliant. Will you be introduced to this in One Shepherd Fieldcraft? Of course you will, but not to the degree that Brushbeater is offering. I think they're out of North Carolina, but I know they run all over the United States, Midwest and Mountain States as well. So look up again the time that fits you, but it's around an $800 course. That same 4th year, I would throw this in. Get a tactical vehicle insertion. Start learning some kind of vehicle platform. Liberty Jump School will allow you to get your 5-jump chump pin on your airborne wings. Liberty Jump School, I believe, is out of Texas. There are several others like it, that static line. This is not skydiving. This is true jump school. It tends to be about 5-6 days long, about a week long. And they're out of Texas. They're very reputable. Likewise, you can do an air assault rappelling course in several different places. Vertical Option, I believe, is out of Florida. They're very reputable. Or go with a vehicle. Go with land vehicles, wheeled vehicles. Go learn ATVs or, SUVs from a professional driver. One of the ones that I would highly recommend is the Bill Scott Raceway, BSR, in West Virginia. It tends to be a little bit pricey, but I'll tell you what, this is where, when you think of like Bourne Identity and that kind of driving, well, I'm going to drive through the city and on wet roads and down up and down staircases, or I'm going to drive on off-road trails, and do all of that stuff. Or I'm just going to get off the trail entirely and drive through the forest. BSR is who teaches government employees how to do this. So that's your real James Bourne kind of driving school. Civilians can sign up for this as well. So here you are, Brushbeater's $800 school, Jump School and some of those others around $1,200, maybe $1,600. You're just north of $2,000 for that year. $2,400, somewhere like that, but just fantastic schools. So do a vehicle insertion school and get your radio operator. 5th year. Let's go with advanced first aid. Let's not just do your basic. Let's get your advanced out there. SNS Training Solutions, Kansas City offers, I believe they still offer the Care Under Fire course. Wilderness Medical Association International offers the Wilderness First Responder and Advanced Responder courses. These run somewhere around $300 to $500. And then, that year you want to look at an integrated crew weapon. Now, it doesn't have to actually be crew served like Polaris Training and Simulations, who offers an MG, a machine gun crew, and I believe that runs somewhere around the $1,800 mark. But Crosswind Precision, for example, offers a designated marksmanship course. I think it's a 2-day course. That's $900. So you add this together, again, you are somewhere north of the $2,000 mark, or just north or just south of it, depending. But that's what I would say is do your advanced first aid and some kind of integrated weapon system, meaning something other than a primary rifle or carbine. So now you've finished up 5 years and you've done great work here. It's time now to invest in your leadership competency, because you can't just be a follower. It's fantastic. Good followers make excellent leaders. You have to have that discipline and that team mindset. But at the same time, leadership doesn't just happen magically. And so it's time to come back to One Shepherd and enter the 3 semesters of the Warrior Leader track. Your 4th semester will cover Light Leaders course, Sticks 4, and another FTX simulation, 7 days, $900. You're probably too old to get the cheaper pricing at that time. But nonetheless, you do that same year. Later in the year, you do a 2nd semester. That'll be your 5th, with a Mission Command course, Sticks number 5, and another FTX simulation. By now, you're really taking over your fire team leader, squad leader, leaders, maybe even platoon sergeant, platoon leader positions. You are progressing as you go forward. And then you're going to take that into your 7th year, finish up your last semester with One Shepherd through the Leader Reflection course, Stick Seminar 6, and FTX simulation. This will not only get you tabbed out One Warrior, One Leader, but will also get you scrolled out as a light fighter, a recognition that you went through all of those stick seminars in small unit dismounted patrolling tactics, as well as exposure in 6 separate 3-day FTX simulations nonstop. So that's pretty darn important. And then you will graduate the Warrior Leader program through One Shepherd. You'll notice that 6th year, again, you're about 1,800. And I'll say you're going to finish somewhere around 2,000 in your 7th year, because what I would recommend after finishing up that leadership course, hey, you're a leader now. You better understand survival, escape, resistance, and evasion. Finding a SEER C level is virtually impossible for a civilian, but good news, B level is achievable. An A level, just so we're clear, SEER A, is really just a book course. It really is. It's briefings and class discussions, and here's how you would do it, but you don't actually go out and learn in the wilderness and learn survival. There is a California Survival School offers a 2-day crash course for just $600, and Mason-Dixon Tactical up there in Pennsylvania, working the entire mid-Atlantic states, they offer a series of survival courses. It's actually 3 2-day courses over 3 different weekends, and it runs up right around $1,100 for the whole thing. You get what you pay for here. And clearly, Mason-Dixon Tactical is going to be more substantial than the California Survival School, but both, from what I'm told, are pretty darn solid. 7th year, you finished up $2,000, give or take. And then you have your 8th year. This one's going to blow your budget a bit, but here's what you got. You need to learn how the enemy fights. So you need to do OPFOR warfare, opposing forces warfare. There are 2 reputable courses, both offered by Polaris, and they are the Insurgent Warfighter course, IWC, and the Red Team Army course, RWC. I believe that's the Red Team Warfighter course. All right, anyway, they are $1,800 for either one. Take one or the other. And in that same year, you need a polishing course at the highest levels of authenticity in live fire. The one that immediately comes to mind is Polaris Training and Simulations Ambush and Raid Course, ARC, or one of the Light Fighter Studies Group. It's kind of a private membership, but you can apply, and at this level they would accept you for application, and then you would go to one of their live fire courses. They like to do stuff with crew-served weapons, but nonetheless deliberate attacks and things like this, daytime, nighttime fighting techniques. And again, these are live fire at the highest level. People say, oh, like CQB. No, significantly higher than that. Like explosives used, and they're quite entailed, and as you might guess, you aren't just going to walk into them. In fact, they are so rare, the number of people who are qualified to take these kind of Tier 1 combatives courses, that they're typically not offered every year. They're offered every 2nd or 3rd year, and they have certain prerequisites. You kind of have to contact these companies well in advance. Maybe in your 7th year, your 6th or 7th year, you'd say, hey, I'm interested in doing this, and they'll put you on a list. There you go. You're going to drop somewhere around the 2,000 or better mark on your 8th year, but most of it we've kept you right at or below $2,000 in spending per year. This is, as you can see, you're going to 2 major events each and every year of this 8-year program. I'm going to share this with you, obviously, in the image that we're talking through now, so that you have that as a point of reference. So again, I'm going to say, can you alter this? Feel free to alter this. Are there variations of this? Of course there are. But you'll notice that what you're doing is you're covering things like land navigation and tactical radio and communications. You're covering first aid and advanced aid. You're covering survival and escape. There's just so much beyond weapon systems. You're doing small unit tactical patrolling and warrior fieldcraft, and you are dedicating an enormous amount of time and effort here to leadership competencies. Earnestly, while you carry a firearm, a weapon with you in just about every single one of these, with very few exceptions, the reality is that the weapon system only makes up 10% of your training. And I think this is the hardest thing to impress upon people. Well, that and the reality that this is available to you if you are a dental surgeon, the age 36, who never, enlisted and said, yeah, but I've always wanted to do that and I now have time and space to do it. Or conversely, if you're a 16-year-old young man or woman who says, I'm not sure that military service is in my cards, but for whatever, it could be a medical reason, but it doesn't preclude you from taking this kind of training and participating in this kind of training, then certainly there are plenty of avenues open to you. And again, having half a dozen people approach me about this very topic this year, I thought, you know what, let's just sit down, have a real quick conversation to describe, rather than to define each and every one in a prescriptive sense, to describe the sort of training you should be looking for, the way you can spread that out over an 8-year commitment, and in fact, how you can afford this sort of training. All right. Good luck with it, and God bless.